Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So we are here again in PSU. It's been a little while, and to be perfectly honest, I just have been a little lost on what I wanted to do with this series and even playing PSU again. And I've decided that what I want to do is kind of go through all of the ultimate missions. I want to run everything again, just because ultimate missions essentially are just the missions we had previously back in PSU days, but scaled up to, I believe, like level 200 enemies. So not only are they kind of like the current end game, you essentially go into certain ultimate missions for specific pieces of gear. You then, take that gear. Hopefully the gear that drops, you have it at high, percentages if you're playing melee weapons, or if you're playing ranged weapons, of course, they come as is. And then your goal is to grind them up as high as possible, upwards of 10 out of 10 if you can possibly get to it. But if they break down, is what it is. You just kind of start over and go about that process. We are nowhere near that. As you can see, our weapons are not anywhere near that process or near that point itself. We simply are using what we were able to get our hands on, as well as some stuff we were able to sell to get some extra money. So our goal is simply to go through all the ultimate missions. However, we also want to gear up and get ourselves with a full kit of twin sabers and single sabers, as well as a pair of twin daggers. Now, probably asking yourself, why would you use single sabers, twin sabers, and twin daggers? To be perfectly honest, they're my favorite weapons back in PSU days. They're really what I really liked. Single dagger as well, it's really, really cool. And I'm totally fine with using that as well. Some situations, maybe going twin daggers for certain missions, maybe going twin sabers for other missions, but you're probably also thinking, what class lets you do that? We're going an unorthodox route. Now, if I wanted to go the absolute strongest I could on the twin saber route, I'd be playing Fortifighter. Fortifighter just quite literally has the stats to support being just a bruiser. You're up in their face, you are taking hits, and you don't care about taking a hit. It's pretty standard when it comes to melee to want to have that extra beef, primarily because you're gonna get hit and it's gonna do quite a bit of damage, especially at high levels. However, that's not the way that I want to play. I've always in the past been a fan of Acro Fighter. Acro Fighter was what I played back in PSU days. Granted, they were locked to only A rank twin sabers, and their claim to fame was single-handed weapons. It wasn't using dual weapons, but I really liked the attack speed that you had with twin sabers as well as twin daggers. And that's what I used primarily back when I played, because at the time I just really didn't care about having like the most optimal setups. I just wanted to play what I liked. And honestly, that's what I recommend most people do when they go into playing games like this. Now, with the Clementine server, which we're playing on, we have the added benefit of a class they have added to the game that wasn't in the original game, that being Acro Master. Acro Master has access to S rank twin sabers and twin daggers, as well as single saber, single dagger, and slicer, some of my favorite weapons in the entire game. Now, granted that this class has the extra benefit of being basically not only an attack specialist when it comes to striking weapons, but also tech. Now, as it stands, I have no interest in using attack techs. I do want the support techs. I do want to be able to support myself if I don't have, an acro techer in my group, or someone else basically casting support techs in any way, shape, or form. However, it does kind of lay with one hand tied behind your back in a sense. There are just some situations that are just better to deal with techs as opposed to dealing with striking weapons. The reality is I don't care. I like the attack speed and I like playing human, and it gives extra stats and bonuses along this line. So I'm just going to go the route of the Acro Master. Now, I'm well aware Fortifighter is the play. It is. It does give you that extra bit of ATP, which does add up to give you more overall ATP, which you deal more damage with more ATP, as well as having that extra bulk. It's 1500 more HP. Flat out, which is pretty powerful, and that might end up being what we do. And if we do go that route, I do have some plans and some items that we can go towards using. We do have twin sabers, but we would have to drop twin daggers. To be able to use single saber, we'd have to drop single dagger, and then we also would have the added benefit of getting the movement tech that is single claw. However, we don't get double sabers. To be perfectly honest, double sabers are one of the weapons I absolutely loved as well, primarily just because of its movement tech. I like the weapon from its look, but the movement tech is actually what I really like from it. To be honest, like my perfect class would probably be Phi Gunner if we are being 100% truthful, but I don't really like Phi Gunner all that much. It's slightly less tanky than a Fortifighter would be. It is a little bit less damage than a Fortifighter would be, where you actually get the added benefit of being able to access twin pistols, twin sabers, twin daggers, and double saber, basically kind of giving you access to everything you would need to take on almost every situation. However, much like Fortifighter, you have that slow attack speed. And I love the faster attack speed of Acro Master. I don't want to let that go. I've said this before on my channel, and I've said it to my stream beforehand. I will always take attack speed over anything else, just because it feels better to play, and I enjoy playing it more that way. And I honestly recommend you find what makes you happy when you play games like this, and you roll with it. You don't have to be optimal, or you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be meta, but there is an optimal way to do most things, and this is the route I'm going to go on. Again, we may change things up, I may change my mind, but this is the route we're going to start with as far as that process is concerned. As you probably picked up this first episode, or this first episode back, I guess you could say, is going to be a lot of going over our plans as well as all the gear that we currently have and our goals for what we want to go after. So as far as what I currently have, we can take a look at my armor. We're running the Bugi Sembo Plus set. This is going to have an extra set bonus with Master Swordsman Plus, as well as the, is it Genpei or Genpei Plus? I'm not sure, or Genpei, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But with these 3 items together, there is actually a set bonus, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We'll be looking at a chart that shows off like the different armor set bonuses and things like that. But it's actually really, really nice. The only downside is it doesn't have a head slot. This is really good for a class like Fortifighter who doesn't really need a head slot. They're not going to cast any techs. But playing Acromaster, I do have the slight loss of the cast speed from having in the head slot. That's not really a huge deal for me, to be perfectly honest, because at the end of the day, I don't really need the head slot. I'm only casting support techs on myself. I'm not trying to go out of the way to cast attack techs at all. So that attack speed isn't the end of the world. I already cast a pretty decent rate, but casting my buffs on myself were a little slower than they absolutely have to be. As far as weapons go, we're going to go over the weapons we're going to be going after, but this is what we currently have on us at the moment. It's not really great. The Orochi Gitos are pretty good, but at the end of the day, we do need to make sure we get a couple of different weapons taken care of. So we'll talk about the weapons we're going after as well. If we take a look at the status page, we can take a look at what our gas build currently is. And it is a little weird, but it does play specifically to what we want to do. So we have dropped points and things that we're not going to be using, and we've taken points and things we are going to be using. So things we are going to be using, and we've left out things we're not going to be using, but this is kind of what we have at the moment. Start things off, we have of course the +5 strength, giving us more damage. We have +5 accuracy, seeing as if you do miss, you do 35% damage. I learned that the other day when looking into why certain gas bills are the way that they are. It's not actually very obvious when you miss, so maybe you didn't always notice this, but if you miss, you just do 35% of your actual hit, which is pretty sad. So we don't want to miss if we can afford it. Evasion. This is going to kind of build into the fact that we have a ton of evasion as an Acromaster, as Acro classes. They have a crap ton of evasion. You get extra for being human, which is really, really nice. So dodging is going to be very high on the list of things we're going to be doing. And of course, +3 stamina. Now, originally I was thinking to myself, why would I care about this extra stamina? But this also goes towards our chance to be afflicted with statuses, which is pretty heavy, especially when you have things like Megid, which the status for that is death. Quite literally, if it procs, it just kills you. So statuses are a big pain in the butt. We don't want to deal with those as much as we possibly can avoid them. So we do take the +3 in stamina. We also went with full custom power. Just attack damage plus should be self-explanatory. Just attack count or just counter damage plus should be self-explanatory as well. But in case you don't know what those are, just attacks specifically are timing your attacks. So you see a little like sheen pop up on your character, does more damage. Just counters, or whenever you evade an attack that you block basically, and as long as you attack within a specific amount of time, you will then do a counter attack, which is a just counter. Same sort of situation, you do extra damage when that happens. Critical rate and critical mastery. Critical rate gives us 50% crit. Mastery gives us 5% crit damage. We just have the extra points to take here, so we just do. Realistically speaking, if I didn't take these points here, the only thing I would really grab that would be of use to me would be increasing the range of my support techs. We also have taken two-handed defense, block, and mine because we have the points to afford it. We also took one-handed defense, block, and mine because again, we have the points to afford it, and we took right hand +2. And +2 is also going to give us some extra stats. We're using a one-handed weapon, so it's very, very useful. Along with that, we've taken Twin Sabers Element Plus, Twin Daggers Element Plus, Saber Element Plus, Dagger Element Plus, and Slicer Element Plus. These are all going to increase the element that we get on all of these different weapon types, so it's definitely useful to have. And then we've taken a complete slew of resistances, plus our level 2 to everything. Again, we have the points, we take them, they're very, very useful. Our style that we currently have equipped, but the style can change. The first style we have is Revenge Blaster. The lower HP is the more damage we deal, which will go very well with weapons that give you extra damage for having lower HP. This is kind of a staple for like speedrunning strats and things of that sort. We're going to try to use a bit of it, but I think what our overall goal is going to probably be is to use freeze more than anything else. Freeze and stun. If enemies can't hit you, you get extra damage against them, well, then you're just going to die, and it's actually pretty nice. The thing is you can't freeze or stun big bosses, so if that's ever our goal, we'll probably switch up to something like Elemental, and then we'll go with, the weapon that does the most damage you possibly can, or maybe Revenge Blaster and just, I don't know, try to get good. We'll have to see. Rapid Action. This one's kind of a toss-up for me. I'm not sure which one is the better choice here, but it'd be between this and something that increases my defense. Rapid Action increases our evasion, and we have a lot of evasion, so increasing evasion is kind of nice. That's pretty much it for style. Again, we have other options we can be taking, but this is where we are at the moment, and this shows our calculated stats. So the first few missions we're going to do are going to be missions that are part of the Guardians Colony. So our goal is probably to start off our weapons with light weapons and with a dark armor. So I'm going to do a bit of digging and see if I can find a dark armor if I don't already have one. I'm actually going to double check that really quick. We'll search for one of those. We want to get a dark one. Be nice. Worst case scenario, if we need to, we can always change the element of this one. You can also see our weapons here we have to work with. I guess I can also mention our PAs because they're maxed. We have been leveling PAs. It's kind of part of the thing here. So running Splendor Crush, Assault Crush, Blast, Cross Hurricane, Blade Destruction, and Rising Crush. One-handed swords also are all level 50. We have Gravity Strike, Spinning Strike, Infinite Storm, and Rising Strike. As far as techs go, we have Magistar, Rentis Reverse or G-Resta, is it Dizas? I don't know exactly, but Jelen, Zalier, Zoldil. I'm missing one. I don't know why I don't have it with me, but it is what it is. But most of the techs that we're using are Magistar, Rentis, Reverse, or G-Resta, and Dizas. So now I'm going to take a quick pause and we're going to jump over to the wiki so I can show you guys some of the weapons that I've been taking a look at and what the plans are. And then we'll buy a few of those. That way we can go ahead and start doing a mission and then we'll jump into these. Also, these aren't necessarily going to be solo runs. I'm just going to be running these missions. People are more than welcome to join in if you happen to see them. I'm going to purposely name them PSU 2025 on the party. So if you see that, you see me in a mission, you're more than welcome to jump in. You'll likely be in the video if you do. So it's just all about running through the missions, kind of reminiscing, talking about what I remember, what I don't, so on and so forth, and just kind of going about it that route. Once we kind of know exactly what we're going to be locking to and going after, then we'll start farming for those specific missions and those specific weapons as we go through them. And again, we'll probably keep that as a weekly series, how that goes on and how those continue. Again, we talked about, I know for a fact what I'm doing is not the better way of doing things, but I'm optimizing for what I want to do. And that is kind of the whole shtick when it comes to this channel. So hopefully you guys will see that and we'll be able to provide any advice that could go well. Things like weapons, armors, unit choices, all that good stuff will all be helpful and welcome. We'll be looking in the comments for them, but I've yapped enough. Let's jump over to the wiki and take a look at what we've got to work with. All right, here we are over on the Clem wiki. Now it's, since I came back to playing this game, it said the wiki is under reconstruction and it's very obvious there are a lot of things that are missing from the wiki. So hopefully that's get updated at some time soon, but we'll have to see how that happens if they go through a whole facelift or anything along those lines. It's made navigating things a little bit difficult, but it's doable. So in case, I miss anything, it's probably because it wasn't there. Which brings us to our very first situation. So first thing I want to talk about is our armor choice and kind of our set bonuses. And to do that, we're going to take a look at a spreadsheet. I warn the flashbang, it's there. All right, so this shows basically the armor sets and the set bonuses with their set bonus tallies, counted up and things of that sort. So we can take a look at armor sets and we can see kind of how strong some of these are. A very common combo that most people use at the very, very start is the Feral set bonus, the Feral Sojo set. You can literally buy this armor from an NPC on MoTube, along with all of its pieces. Pretty solid stuff, not too bad. We move from that to, I want to say, what was it? It was the virus armor. This virus armor is what we were using. There weren't really any set bonus with this. It's pretty nice, but nothing that I really have to specifically use to make this really good or anything along those lines. It was just a solid armor that I could use while I was waiting to get a hold of some stuff. Now, I did happen to get a really good drop. I got a Dragoon Knight. And the Dragoon Knight sells effectively for max stack cash, which in the game is 100 mil basically. So I sold it. And with that money, I was able to purchase, not only did I find a Master Swordsman apparently way underpriced at 20 mil, but I also was able to purchase a Gen P or a Gen P. And these two go really, really well as a set bonus with the Boogie Semba, which is what we've decided to go ahead and go with. Now, again, I understand this is a good set bonus specifically for Fortifighter. I don't know how it fares with Acrotecher. I feel like it's pretty bad for Acrotecher since it has no TP. I'm sorry, Acro Masters has no TP. But for our specific use case, we are not using attack techs. So we don't really care about the extra TP. We're just taking the TP that we have and we're kind of rolling with it. We're not really concerned with that extra TP anyway. It also doesn't have the best evasion stat. It's got a decent evasion stat, but it's not amazing. But what it does have, it has a lot of ATP and it's got a lot of accuracy. It's got 900 ATP and it's got 900 accuracy, which is really, really nice. It doesn't have, the most attack power it can have, but it's up there, right? 900 is fairly up there. And because of that, with this set bonus, there is an added bonus with that. So it does also include katana type weapons. And there are a lot of katana type weapons in the game. This is where, unfortunately, the wiki kind of breaks down on me a little bit because it doesn't give us all the information. So you can see we're over here at line shields, looking at different line shields that are available to us. If you actually go to different line shields, you can see some of the bonuses. So we can take a look at Dragoon Armor. And you can see that it has a set bonus with all of these weapons. It gives you ATP and TP. It has Dragoon Knight and Dragoon Tech. If you have those together, a pretty solid ATP and TP bonus. Very, very nice, right? But we're going with Boogie Semba. And Boogie Semba does have another ATP and accuracy bonus with 3 endurance if you have the Master Swordsman Plus with Gen P, which is really nice. It also gets an extra 50 attack and 50 accuracy if you're using specifically these weapons on this list. Now this list is a little weird. The reason for it is because it shows some ultimate weapons and then it shows some ultimate plus weapons, but some of the ultimate weapons have ultimate plus variants, and it's not really clear whether or not the ultimate plus variant also gets the set bonus. I'm assuming it does, because it still falls under the same category with the other weapons, but I can't say that for certain because I don't have that knowledge personally. Now, this is something that could be updated in the wiki later on down the line or by the time you actually even get to this video, but it's something that I personally don't have the information for, so I can't say one way or another if that's absolutely the case. I'm just going with it that it is, but we don't know for certain, and you guys are more than welcome to correct me in the comments. I'll be more than happy to go ahead and make those adjustments and changes to our overall choices afterwards, but this is just the plan for right now. As you can see, there's a lot of weapons here that are actually pretty solid, and I'm gonna be going through what our plans are for those weapons. So let's start with Twin Sabers. So Twin Sabers, we have a pretty big list of weapons. U plus is what we're going for, of course, because U plus are the strongest weapon types, as long as I believe it's over 7 grinds. So what weapons are we going with? First, we have the Sanjiasha. Sanjiasha U plus, of course. This is just gonna be our healing weapon. This is here for HP lifesteal. It's pretty solid. We'll probably just get a elementless one just for healing purposes and nothing more. We don't want to have a situation where we're attacking something. We don't need to have a whole bunch of these. We don't need to have a full palette of these or anything along those lines. A simple healing weapon will be nice to have, so we'll go elementless and we're solid there. The Orochi Agido. Now this has HP effects power. HP effects power is one of the strongest effects that a weapon can have in the game currently. It basically means the lower your HP is, the more damage you deal up to a specific point, and it's pretty powerful overall. It does mean, however, that you do have to have low HP to do this, and at the moment, there's no way to maintain low HP, like force yourself at low HP while staying, healed up fairly decently. It's not like something like, PSO2 where you have like maintain balance, which of course forces your HP at exactly 49%, and of course does damage to you versus healing you if you're outside of that range. There's really nothing like that in this game, unfortunately. So it's definitely one of those things that feels like it's relegated mostly to speedrunners. You know everything about this sort of thing, but teach their own. We'll try using it, see if we can figure it out. If not, then of course we have some backup options. Now, there are not a lot of really good choices when it comes to Twin Sabers, at least that are within this set bonus. So we have Kagutsuchi. Kagutsuchi is a little bit interesting. It's basically an ice and a flaming katana. The way that it works is depending upon its element is the status that it has. So if it is either a fire, a lightning, or a light type weapon, it will have burn. If it is ice, ground, or dark, it will be freeze. Now, technically, our most important one's going to be freeze here with ice, ground, and dark. However, if we happen to have one that just, it's burn, it is what it is, right? Burn is still really, really powerful as far as damage is concerned. Since burn does percent base damage on the HP pool of the monster, it still is very, very powerful. However, it's one of the situations where you'd rather have freeze, to be honest, in most situations, just because if an enemy can't move, then you're gonna squash them. But if you're fighting a giant boss that can't be frozen, well, that burn might feel pretty good. So it's a little bit of a weird spot to be in to know for certain, but it's kind of where we are at the moment. And then we also have the Ignis. Ignis is just a straight freeze weapon. It's good. It's just a good weapon overall. There's a weapon I'm missing from this list. I'm not sure why I didn't put it on here, but we'll go ahead and grab it. It's actually one of my favorites, which makes me even a little sadder that I didn't put it on here if I can just find it. World of Guardians. It's our stun weapon. World of Guardians level 5 stun. It just is what it is. It's very powerful. It's really cool looking. I love the weapon personally. However, it is not within the set bonuses of these weapons. So it is going to fall behind something like, let's say, Kagutsuchi, assuming it has the proper element and the proper status that I'm looking for. And so that finishes off the Twin Sabers. Let's take a look at the single saber options. So single saber options are a little bit more straightforward. We don't really, we do, but we're not really worried too much about it, but we have a few different options here available. So we first have I think it's Shoryuren. That gives level 5 freeze. Just a solid little katana. We also have the Kurokami. I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is just basically the one sword from the Kagutsuchi. Kurokami is also freeze. Also, it just has what looks like more range. I'm not sure if it is. We can double check. Yeah, no, it doesn't have more range. It looks like it's more range, but it doesn't actually have more range. But it's just a cool looking sword in my opinion. So it's probably we're going to lean towards more personally than anything else, but just a solid looking sword. And of course, it's freeze. And we also have the stun option. The stun option is actually what I remember being a sword back in the day. It looks like they made a saber version of this. The Kankyu. This is a stun weapon. Basically, if we want to go the stun route for our setup, this would be what we would pair with something like the World of Guardians, essentially. So we would have World of Guardians and we would have Kankyu. Both of these have stun. So of course, we'd be able to take advantage of the gas that provides extra damage to enemies that are stunned. So this is really nice. Pretty solid weapon. Don't have to worry about low HP. And then of course we have Amatsu Mikaboshi, I believe is what it's called. And this is the burn weapon. This is just if we can't freeze and we want to make sure we can deal as much damage as possible and we're not using low HP, we can get a burn going, and burn again is very, very powerful. Ah, yes, I forgot about the Kotetsu. Now the Kotetsu is another HP effects power weapon. It pretty much writes itself. The lower HP, the more damage you deal. It's very straightforward. However, it does not have the set bonus along with something like the Bugi Semba. So it's one of those situations where I'm not 100% sure if it's actually worth using, which is why I'm probably going to lean mostly on the Kurokami with freeze, and probably lean mostly on freeze overall for our time going through all these things. Last but not least, we have twin daggers. Twin daggers are pretty fun. The one set of healing daggers is mostly the reason I want to use twin daggers, and I like twin daggers in general, but these things are awesome. Nightmare Blood U pluses look really, really cool. They give us the added benefit of HP steal. This will be if we want to run daggers instead of running sabers. This will be our replacement for Sanjiasha. And of course, we're going to be going for just a non-element one. We're not worried too much about its element or anything along those lines. We're not planning on using it a ton. It's just going to be a quick swap that we use when we need to heal or just stay alive against a target while dealing damage. We can just spam attacks while using HP steal. We also have the pan arm daggers. The picture they have for these looks really weird, like a huge robot is holding them or something like that. I'm not sure if it's the daggers, the small ones themselves, or the actual robot arms. I know I could have it up right now. I'm sorry, I don't, but you gotta take my word for it. It's a weird looking. I'm not sure if that's a part of the daggers, to be honest. It just, the picture they chose to use is the picture they chose to use. If it is, then it's weird. If it isn't, the daggers are dinky and small anyway, so I'm not really the biggest fan of the pan arm daggers, but they do have level 5 stun. They aren't a part of the set bonus. I believe there is a set of daggers that are part of the set bonus. I want to say the twin Kamuis are. Yeah, these are a part of the set bonus, but as you can see, they don't have any sort of status effect on them. I believe they're 9 stars. So yeah, they're not really super great. We have the daggers of Serafi if we want to burn. These are pretty much our go-tos. Again, they don't have the set bonus, but they do have burn. So there you go. We also have floating edges. This is our go-to for freeze. Again, a situation, no set bonus. However, still solid freeze daggers. I don't know if there is going to be a set bonus option that we can use or one that's even recommended in this situation. Again, I'm going off of just what I'm reading from the wiki and the bits of information I was able to gather. So this may not be the exact right choice, but it's the one that we're going to go with as far as daggers are concerned. And then we have brandish. This is just the other freeze option. If floating edges is something that's not available or something that, is super expensive for no reason, and we see these as an option, we're going to go this route instead. These are both going to fill the same role. They both have literally the exact same stats. They have the same reach. There's nothing different between these two things that I can find, so it doesn't matter which ones we end up going with. This is a very common thing that happened in the past. We sometimes just had a different skin for a weapon, even if it was literally the same weapon, just happened to come from a different place. As far as my buying priority, I'm going to probably start with getting a hold of the healing weapons, just so that way we have a healing off swap too, and then probably prioritize maybe the freeze or the low HP weapons, just because we don't have to be low HP to use them. They're still very powerful. However, the freeze might be stronger. This may change up depending upon if we decide to go back to Fortifighter, but I feel like I want to stick to my guns and really push Acromaster. The only reason I'm going to go back to Fortifighter is we quite literally can't play Acromaster the way we want to. If it just doesn't work and we can't do it, then yeah, maybe I'll go back to Fortifighter. But if that's not the case and we can make this work, then we're going to stick to our guns and we're going to push forward with the way that we want to play. So anyway, let's get into game. Let's go ahead and pick up some of our gear. That way we can go ahead and get started and running our first mission. All right, so we loaded back to our room. We've done a little bit of shopping. Didn't have a whole lot to work with. I think we had like 19 mil. So we picked up a couple of things. Picked up a Kagutsuchi, pretty solid. It's 7/7. I would have preferred 8 of 8, but 7/7 is fine. We wanted something that was below 40%. That way we could go ahead and change and modify it. I'm gonna show you guys how that works out. We also picked up Kurakami. It did come out 8 of 8, 40% light. Ideally, we would have 2 of each weapon. That way we have at least 2 elements to work with. Because this first set of missions we're gonna be doing, everything is gonna be weak to light since it's on the Guardian's Colony. We're perfectly fine with just having a dark armor, which we did have to pick up. Bugi Semba was kind of expensive. This one kind of costs 8 mil, so this was most of our money, but it is pretty solid. Again, it's 40%, so it is below the amount. We could have just modified this one armor we had currently, but again, I want to have more than one armor type in case we need to swap it around and change around elements and things like that, make life easy for us. But that's kind of what we had to work with here. It's probably why I had this at 40%, was so I could do that if I needed to. Also, I mentioned earlier, Ignis was a good choice. I didn't realize it's got way lower attack power, so Ignis is not really that great of a choice. So pretty much when we're looking at the Kagutsuchi, that's going to be our premier status weapon. It's going to have options for freeze and for burn while we're fighting, and we're just going to have to roll with that. Anyway, I'll be right back when I see if I can find a couple more things for us to work with. So we're going to head over to the Guardian's Colony. I actually came across a few things that seem pretty useful. So we're going to go ahead and take care of a couple things. So what we're basically doing is we're going to go grind some weapons. Essentially, when you're trying to grind weapons or upgrade them, you want to use grinders. And the best grinder to use is a master grinder. for these U+ weapons. And when you're attempting to grind a weapon, you want to use these master grinders. Now, master grinders currently are being sold for, I believe the ones I purchased were 185K per master grinder. Now, we bought 30 of them. It did dip into our funds pretty heavily. I think we are pretty much broke now, unfortunately. However, it was still worth the investment because we actually do have a couple of Kurakamis to grind ourselves. Now, this one is 8 of 8. Again, we can change elements. It's not a huge deal. We did have this one that's 5 of 9 right now. That's 42%. Anything above 40%, we can't mess around with. Anything below, we can, I believe. I'm going to double check that to make sure. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works out. We can't really change the element or mess around with it too much. So we're going to grind these weapons. We have 30 grinders. There's no guarantee these get to 10. They're probably going to break, but I want to go ahead and take you guys across that journey since we are kind of, trying to gear ourselves out a little bit here. So we're going to go ahead and start by talking to you, letting you know that we agreed to the grinding process, and we're going to start hitting this 5 out of 9 that we have with these master grinders. Now, again, the percent chances, we don't know exactly what they are, but they can break, and it really sucks when they do. We did make it a 6 of 9, which is really nice. Hopefully this goes. It would be really nice if this actually goes in the first episode. 6 out of 9. Love to see it. But this is pretty much kind of what we'll be doing with our weapons. We'll be getting them at 0 out of 10 on our own, and we'll be doing the best we can to grind them up to 10 out of 10. When they do break, they go down a level, as well as they lose a level on the right-hand side. So right now it's 7 of 9. It just broke. So this is going to be 5 of 8 when I go back to it. As you can see, 5 of 8. Our goal is at least to get a 7 of 7. We don't want to see us go any further than that. This is really bad. So right now our weapon is not going any further. If this breaks again, we're pretty much going to abandon it and move on to the next weapon. It does suck to see, but it is what it is. It does cost us, quite a bit with these master grinders. Good thing is it doesn't cost any Meseta because we don't really have very much of it. So we're just going to keep at this, hope for the best, but RNG is RNG. A lot of people, if it breaks once, they kind of just move on to the next weapon. As we're still very early on in our gearing process, if we can at least make a 7 of 7, it's still going to be useful to us because we can shift and function our other weapon over to something that's not light, right? Like we either have to have this as light, or we can shift this over to like dark or ice or something like that and be in a good spot. So hopefully this goes to 7 of 7. That'd be really, really nice if it does. And okay. And it's 7 of 7. Pretty solid weapon. We'll go ahead and go with that. So you can't do anything with this anymore, unfortunately. It is what it is, but it's 7 of 7. It's all right. This one is currently 1 of 10. So we'll go ahead and throw this in and see what we get to with this ground weapon. Now, again, this is one of the situations where we kind of have to just take what we take. So far, we're going for 7 of 10. Okay. We're getting pretty far up there. Pretty lucky so far. So it can turn it any second now, as it just did. We're what? 5 of 6, 5 of 9 now? We don't have enough to get all the way up. So we would have to stop at 8 if we even get that far. And if we do, I may go look for a grinder really quick. So we'll see. Ooh. Wait, did that go from 6 to 8? Or am I just... Yeah, we didn't have enough grinders. That just jumped. I think that just jumped. The percent chance seems to be about 50-50. About those 50-50 wins. Do we go 9 of 9? We'll see. Oh, getting a 9 of 9. We actually let... I kind of joked around when I said we had exactly enough to do this, but we had exactly enough to do it. It's a 9 of 9, 47% fire. It's pretty solid. It's going to be really difficult for us to replace that for quite a while. So all these ended up being quite useful. Pretty solid. We do want to go ahead and change this from being a light weapon. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how that works. GC person. Where was the GC person? Are they here? Oh, wait, I thought you couldn't repair these. Yeah, you can't repair these. I was like, hang on, you can't repair these types of weapons. Hold on. What we're going to do is we're going to go and see if we can change the element of something that is above that percentage. So let's see if change element works. You let me change you to light. Is there a chance for this? Okay, this does work. I thought it wouldn't work for anything that was above a specific percentage. The goal is we're going to go ahead and switch up at least one of each of these weapon types to light, since most of the weapon missions we're going to be doing are going to be light anyway. And we're also going to be upgrading some of these weapons over. So give me just a moment. I'm going to put a little bit of a pause in the video. You guys don't have to see all of this. Basically, in case you're curious how it worked, it's basically what I just showed you a moment ago, right? So you select the weapon, you can select change element, and you can choose the element you want to put it on. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and show increasing the element. So I'm going to take this here really quick. We're going to go to change percentage. As you can see, it maxes out at 40, which costs us 400 GC. We have 4,600, so fairly straightforward. I don't know why this menu even plays. I'm not sure if there's a chance for this to fail. but it does make me dangerous. It doesn't make me not dangerous. It doesn't make me nervous that it does this. So everything bare minimum should be about 40%. So pretty solid stuff there. We'll go ahead and go through all of this, and I'll be back once I have all the percentages and elements sorted out. All right, and that is taken care of. So let's take a look at our weapon choices now. So we have all of our twin sabers, at least they're all light now. I didn't realize you didn't have to be above 40. Like I thought it had to be 40%, but I was completely wrong. So as long as you can change the element, this is actually worth it. So what we did is we've changed all these to light. We have all of these are different elements. So we have our strongest currently as light. That is a 9 of 9. That's 47%. Very, very powerful. We have a dark 42%, 7 of 7. Ground 40%, 8 of 8. And a ice 45%, 7 of 7. We have Con Q. This is a stun single saber. And this is 7 of 7, 41%. Pretty solid. You see all the rest of the weapons, they are what they are. So we're going to go ahead and lock all of these. We don't have to carry all of them technically. We can probably put away all of our other element weapons and keep just our light weapon with us, because that's mostly what we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and fix up our palette a little bit here. Mostly going to be using the Kagutsuchi as well as the Orochi. I don't know if that's going to be really good or not. We're going to give it a shot and see how it works out. We're going to take the Urakami, of course, and the Kankyu we don't really need. So we're going to go ahead and leave those. We'll hold on to it, but we're not going to really use it. We can take this NPC here and just use them to go ahead and store the rest of these. So and that's all set. We also have our armor sorted out here. It is a 40% dark armor, and we can head over to the ultimate lobby now. We are in the ultimate lobby, and this is going to be our first official mission that we're doing as a higher level player. Haven't done any of these on our own outside of literally just doing the event at the time. And if the event difficulty is anything to write home about, we'll kind of get a little bit of an idea. We are going to jump into Unsafe Passage. It is the first mission that you do when you first create a character in PSU. It's kind of like a rite of passage, to be honest, for all of us. And yeah, I'm kind of stoked to just do this. Unsafe Passage it is. We can go ahead and start this. There we go. Also, if you're curious of why I picked this this tech mag and this wand, it's literally purely on looks. They don't matter in the slightest. They're not really here to do anything for us outside of provide our buffs and cast them. So that's all we're here to do with these, and we're going to go ahead and go. So let's start with our low HP weapons. I vaguely remember having to deal with Megid quite a bit. Okay. Oh, ice. That's not great for us. We're already almost dead. That's definitely a problem. Let's switch up and go with these. Oh, yeah, this is gonna be a problem. I also forgot to. Okay, so we're not fast enough. We're just gonna go ahead and cut through these guys. Best of our ability. I think Deljabin also have the ability to throw Megid, which kind of terrifies me. Yep, they do. Okay, let's rebuff. And also think this through. Let's get a G-Resta going on us as well. Yeah, this, okay, we completely forgot to link Photon Arts, so let's go Blade Destruction on the Kagutsuchi. There we go. So we're dealing with a bit of ice as well, but we're not getting hit for that much, actually. If we just don't play stupid, it's fine. I just definitely was not prepared for the type of damage I was going to take. So I should try to be more prepared for that situation, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get these going on us. We still deal pretty decent damage, too, all things considered. We should... I forgot these guys cast different spells. Also, taking way too much damage. Okay, I have to be able to... Am I hovering? I'm hovering Dimates. Okay, good. Because Dimates are healing me for 800, but it'll also allow me to not have to heal back up to full immediately, which I don't want to if I'm going for low HP memes, but it is what it is. We're in a situation where we're not getting straight one-shot or getting just burned down really quickly, so we don't have to worry too much. But this mission definitely brings me back, man. We can get rid of our name over our head. We don't need that. We'll take that too. So we can just kind of Blade Destruction around a little bit. We can, of course... Okay, the knockdown. The knockdown beat up is kind of rude. Also, Blade Destruction hits a lot. I feel like it's kind of our go-to AoE. Since these are light, they do burn instead of freeze. You can get rid of this set with just a quick SUV. I might just, yeah, you know what? Let's put recover in ourselves. It's gonna put us in a more comfortable spot anyway. Put these back up. Yeah, man, it brings you back. I've done these missions so many times. I have low HP this time, but we'll get hit a couple of times anyway. Evasion coming into play. I have to get used to attacking off my evasion. Yeah, I have to get used to the timing of a lot of these things. It's been a long time since I messed around with this. Plus, this is my first mission back since playing, so yeah. Alright, let's get ourselves rebuffed. As you see, this is not really the best for speed of any sort. And we'll go ahead and go with these. I really like Assault Crush, man. Ooh, those guys suck. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected to happen. And they throw Megid. I'm kind of playing with fire by not having my Vajiri resist, but playing with fire is fun sometimes. Oof, I'm gonna do this. Oh, okay. See, what I was trying to do, unfortunately, was go for my SUV there, but it didn't work out. I think people usually macro that. These guys have the agility of a PSO2 enemy while you are playing PSU, which sucks. I'm just getting kicked back, dude. And they just healed themselves. I didn't realize they had... Dude, Seed Vants suck. Holy crap. Am I already out of... I'm out of Dimates. That's really annoying. I get a freeze? That'd be great. Dude, that roll sucks so bad. Now I get a... now I get a block? That's nice. I'm in... not a Megiverse, but... I need to actually focus one down. If he keeps healing and he's spamming... Okay, this is where things get annoying. Alright. And they're not freezing, which is a bigger problem. So this is like probably a situation where you would probably utilize... I can't get away from them. That's the worst part. And they just knock me back. Dude, they just knock me back over and over again. This is a terrible enemy. Like, this is an awful enemy to fight. I literally can't fight back. They spam heals. They are faster than me, and they quite literally... I can't get away. I'm gonna back up and regroup. A simple second person playing with you can make all the difference. Because I can now attack unabated. Well, people are joining the mission now. But like I said, this isn't going to be necessarily solo. But I'm not going to just look for people to join me specifically or anything like that either. We're a bit lower on HP, so we do have a bit more damage. Ah, that sucks. Yeah. You enemies are not playing around, man. This is annoying. Casting Megiverse, the ability to heal themselves, the agility, honestly, of a PSO2 enemy is kind of crazy. Like, I didn't even get a chance to fight. You know, it's funny. I was just talking to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, you know, like, yeah, getting groups to do stuff is really difficult." And they're like, "Yeah, well, you know, with 10 escape dolls, it's not that bad. You can go into like pretty much any mission type as long as you have the ability to like to deal damage. You're fine." How do you deal with those guys? If I had people join me at that point, I'd have been pretty much torched. I'm not sure how I would have dealt with that, which is kind of embarrassing. And I'll be real with you, it kind of sucks, man. It makes me rethink the whole concept of just going Acromaster, and I'm like, dude, was Fortifighter really the play? And will I be Fortifighter next episode? Who knows? Though I don't know that I'd be dealing with that any better as a Fortifighter. I got 2 tapped. That's quite the situation. Oh, does he have a shield up? Oh, that's right. These guys, dude. Ugh. This is terrible. This is what happens when you scale enemies up, man. Oh, we made it through. What's going on? Oh, we completed a we completed one of our small not small, but we completed one of our daily missions. I'm just go ahead and cast this. I hate that there's like a delay sometimes in the ability to cast this stuff. Yeah, we're full HP. I mean, honestly, maybe I go the elemental route with burns. The part that sucks, though, is I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this, like, for recording purposes. If people are just going to just tag along while I just do random missions. Like, that's kind of the part that's going to be difficult. Like, do I leave this party and then start another mission? Like, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this. But that's a problem for future me. We're not worried about that right now. We're kind of full HP, so we're just going to use our status weapon. Yeah, if it isn't obvious, I'm more of a fan of the first 2 parts of that PA. Not much of a fan of the second part. Or the first 2 parts, not much of a fan of the third part of it. Ah, that's cool. Oh, I was like, what just hit me that did that? Okay. The knockback, dude, is crazy. Okay. Take that out. Now, to be fair, I haven't ever done the U+ missions, so it's kind of a new situation for me, but it's still pretty cool. And I do have Fortified to fall back on if I feel like I'm just not tanky enough. I can always supplement with items and things like that. But I do like the idea of attacking faster. I just don't feel that speed right now when I can attack. Oh, the Majid. I think it was just those 2 specific enemies that sucked. Oh, that's going to suck. I'm going to be a little careful with this. Kind of wish there was like a thing that's like you have more damage when you're at max HP. Not gonna lie, kind of wish that was a thing, but our beggars can't be choosers, yeah? Stick to our usual, we'll buff ourselves. If people are around, they can have their buffs then. But I'm not chasing people to buff them. Ah, yes. The occasional 0 is always wonderful to see. I don't even know if these are worth it. All of the Majid spam. Gotta love it. Now, the one downside to Chakra Master is, while I have faster attack speed, my overall movement speed is slower due to the fact I don't have any movement tech. Now, I can also buff myself. I feel that does kind of slow down the pace of the mission. Why do I feel like... I'm starting to feel like I miss Fortifighter. It just might be the play, man. We might be a Fortifighter in the next mission, and it's going to be real sad. You know, the good thing is we didn't buy a single pair of daggers. We also have extra weapons, too. We have claws. We have a set of knuckles, too, that we might use. I think the option of going with some stun... Oh, okay, interesting. Where is he? Oh, you went over here. Can't lie, man. When you get those blocks, though, feels pretty good. Except when that happens. Nice. Super grinder drop. Nice. Ultimate, super, ultra, photon drop. Okay, so there are some drops here. Interesting. Break containers quest also done. I got an A rank. Probably because of the beating I took through that. Yeah, party capacitation's 10. Got absolutely blasted the entire run, dude. Does not surprise me in the slightest. Well, I think it might be a situation where we might actually go Fortifighter, which is painful. But we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to see how I like that comparatively to what I just did here. Now, the added benefit is I'm not going to lose anything because I just have gear from playing Fortifighter. It's not a huge deal. So in the next episode of PSU, it will be a situation where we will likely just be on Fortifighter. That's all I'm going to have for you guys today. If there's anything that I should know about, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video, so if you want to keep up with more. As always, thank you to channel members. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my friends. Peace out.